Very good morning, guys. So last day, we just been talking about sessions, right? Yeah. What did I say about a session? Sessions basically will provide you an option of maintaining the state of values. And the very important thing about the session is sessions are single user global data. Single user global data. What are that? The values that are stored in the session are accessible only to that particular user. Okay. And I said you like what is going to be the lifetime of the session? An ideal time period of 20 minutes, an ideal time period of 20 minutes, but you can modify that in the web.config. You can go to web.config, and in the web.config, you can just modify the timeout. So here I set the session timeout as 1. But actually, if I don't specify anything, it is going to be 20 minutes. Okay, fine. Now, another important thing about these sessions, actually I said you this point also, or that so many users are there, and for every user, one session is created. So many users are there, and for every user, one session is going to be created. I show you a picture also how the sessions will be maintained. For every user, one session will be maintained for you on the server. When you're just going to have multiple sessions, how exactly the system recognizes, which session belongs to which user. So for that, we discussed like every session is going to have a session ID. Every session is going to have a session ID. Already in the last class, I shown you about the session ID. Session ID is an alphanumeric string. Session ID is going to be an alphanumeric string. Yeah, we've just been checked out already in the last class. The session ID is going to be an alphanumeric string actually. Okay, so now the next question that arises in your mind is going to be, okay, so every session is going to have a session ID. This is fine. But how exactly the system recognizes, which session belongs to which user? Did you get my question? How exactly the system recognizes which session belongs to which user? Because once I send a request to the server and get a response, the connection between the browser and the server is cut off. Yes or not? Next time when I go to the server, how do the server know this session is associated with this user? Got the question? How does the server know which session is associated with which user? Is a big question right now. How the system will be knowing this session belongs to this user or this session belongs to this user? How will the system know that? Listen, how exactly the system knows that means for every session, there will be a unique session ID. For every session, there will be a unique session ID. When I send a request to the server, a session is created for me and a session ID will be present. And when the response is sent to the browser, the session ID also will be sent to the browser. The session ID also will be sent to the browser and will be stored under the browser's memory. And we call that as a cookie. So I repeat, when a request goes to server, what the server will do? Server will create a session for me. First request. I mean to say first request. When the first request goes to the server will be creating a session ID, and the session ID will be sent to the browser, and the browser is going to store that session ID within the memory, and we call it as a cookie. That's called as a cookie basically. Are you clear? So what is a cookie? A cookie basically is going to be a piece of text. A cookie is actually a piece of text. It is going to be a piece of text that is going to, simply speaking, that it's a piece of text that stores on the client browser. It's a small text that is going to be stored on the client browser. The best example for a cookie, On your personal computer, when you try to log in, you'll be having a username password, and you'll be finding a checkbox like a stay signed in. So when you select that stay signed in, what will happen? Next time, it's not going to ask you for the user ID password on your personal computer, correct? How this happens? How this happens is your user ID and password will be saved by the browser. Your user ID and password will be saved by the browser. The browser is exactly going to save the user ID and the password. How does it stores? It stores that information in the form of a cookie. It stores that information in the form of a cookie that is going to be stored for you on your computer, basically. That is going to be stored on your computer, actually. Okay, we can store the data on your particular computer, and we call that as a cookie, exactly. Okay. Actually, guys, I missed the concept of the cookies in the notes. Actually. Who don't have a notes, I will update the copy. Who already got the notes, the one or two pages are missing, I'll separately provide that particular 2 pages there. Is that clear? Okay. Who just got the notes? Yeah, if you don't have the note, anyhow, online I'll update off. You can just download the latest copy, but still, who has a physical notes, for them I'll just provide the handout separately. 2 or 3 pages will come. I'll just provide that particular 2 or 3 pages separately. You can get that over there. Okay. So let me explain about these cookies today. So what is a cookie? A cookie is a piece of data that is going to be stored on the client browser. A cookie is a piece of data that is going to be stored for you on a client browser. So how exactly these cookies work means, I'll tell you. But see, these cookies also provide you state management. The cookie also provides you state management. For example, how do you create a cookie? There is a predefined class called as HTTP cookie. You're required to create the instance of this class first. HTTP cookie is equals to new HTTP cookie. And here, the constructor takes a parameter. What is the parameter? A cookie name. You need to give a cookie. I'm giving the cookie as a product cookie. Product cookie. Now, cookie of ID is equals to 101. Cookie of name is equals to shoes. Cookie of price is equals to 3,500. You'll be wondering, sir, you're storing everything in the double quotes here. Cookie will basically maintain the data in string format only. Cookies will maintain the data only in the string format. They're going to maintain the data only in the string format. That is the reason why I was just trying to store this particular information in a string here. Is it clearer, everyone? So cookies will store the data in which format? String format. That's why I'm storing the data explicitly in a string format like this. This is how. Afterwards, what you're required to do, response dot cookies dot add cookie. What will this do? This is going to write the cookie on the browser. This is going to write the cookie on the browser. It will write the cookie on the browser actually. Are you clear? What is the first step? Create an instance of the cookie. Afterwards, store the values in a key value combination. Array, till now, in all the places we stored it like this only. But they're ready-made objects, but here they're not ready-made. We are creating the object explicitly. And finally, we need to say response.cookies.add. This is going to write the cookie on the client browser. This is going to write the cookie on the client browser. Okay, they'll be writing the cookie on the client browser actually. And afterwards, you can simply say return view. The control jumps to view. And now in the view page, you can access these cookies now. In the view page, you can access these cookies. I'll show you. Without disturbing this method sequence from the notes, I'll do one thing. Public view result, public view result, cookie test one. I'm just calling it as cookie test one. We'll copy the whole code, put it here. Okay, now? So now this is going to launch a view now. So let's right click on this. Add view. And now in the add view, you can just go for adding a view for this. You're going to add a view now. Okay, let's add a view. So now once after adding a view, now in the view, see what will happen, in this case, the data is not going to be stored on the server at all. It's not going to store the data on the server at all. When I do this, it is just going to write the data onto the browser. Where it writes? Browser. The data is written on the browser. Now see, the next request will go from here only now. So basically, you just go to the, where you're going, you're just going to the action method. What the action method will do, the action method is going to write the cookie and launch the view. Now view can read those cookies now. Did you understand? What the view can do? View can read those cookies. View is capable of reading those cookies. How the view can read those cookies? How the view can read the cookie? Okay, watch it all of you. How to read the cookie in the view. I'm writing C# code. Okay. HTTP cookie is equals to, don't create a new cookie. Request dot cookies of, what is the cookie name? Cookie. See, the reason for giving a name here is to read that back again. Is the name you are given for the cookie now? To read the cookie, I need a name. So product cookie is the name what you have. Now see guys, in this cookie, you have all the three values. In this cookie, you have all the three values. Let me make a small change. What is that? Yeah, I'm passing all the three parameters, not static values. Let us make it id dot toString. Here directly name, here price dot toString. Are you clear? id dot toString, and I can just store it as price dot toString. Just a second. Because as I said you, what did I say? Cookies can store the data only in the string format. Because cookies can store the data only in the string format, I'm just trying to convert them into the string here by calling toString, and you already know about the toString method. I don't require to give you any clarification for that. Fine. So I'm storing the three values in the cookie, and now what did I say? These three values are stored in the cookie. Anyhow, name is string, so no need any conversion. Price is a double value, so conversion. So this response cookie will launch the cookie on the browser. Now the view gets launched. When the view is getting launched, on the view, I can read the cookie now. Are you clear? On this particular view, I can read the cookie. Now this cookie contains all the three values in it. Okay? Just observe it. Int id is equals to cookie of id. But you want in an int format, cookie will store in a string format, right? Int dot parse. Tell me next. String name is equals to cookie of name. Next, fast here, louder. Double price is equals to double dot parse cookie of price. Are you clear? Got the three values? Okay. After getting all the three values, you can observe. Now I am going to create the table as is. Like every day what we are doing, I'm just going to create the table now. Okay, no need to call session of ID. Directly @ID @name. Why is there? Already you read on the top. Okay, and now here No need to read that. Price is equals to, price is already declared on the top. Price is equals to price plus price into 10 at the rate price is going to print you the price value back on the screen. So did you understand how to read the values? And here guys, I am also doing one thing. Just a minute. Let me close all these things. I'll also add you one link for navigating to the next table. For navigating to the next hyperlink, what we have. Hey, where is it? Yeah. Click to launch new page. When you click on that, it has to take me to the same controller, home controller. Which controller? Home controller. And here we already have one cookie test one, right? Yes or not? I want to navigate to cookie test 2. Same controller, cookie test 2 is where I want to navigate. Is that clear? Okay. Now come to home controller. Write another method now. What? Public view result cookie test 2 return view. No need any values. When I click on the hyperlink, this cookie test 2 will launch now. Are you clear? So here I don't require to pass any inputs or anything. Right click, add view. Now let us go to cookie test 2. I'm copying the same code again here also. Same, exactly the same code. Copy means what I'm trying to tell you now, you can read on any number of pages here. Once you write the cookie, you can read this on any number of pages. On any number of pages, these values are going to be accessible to you. Okay, because they're written on where? Client browser, and they're accessible to you for you on any number of pages. So for that client only, on that machine only, tomorrow another machine cannot access now. Accessible only for you on that particular machine. Okay, so I'm just trying to write the same code here and watch it here. One more thing I'll show you. From here I want to go to test controller, method name, cookie test 3. Okay now? So go to test controller. Come on. Public view result cookie test 3 return view. You can understand I'm trying to show you jumping from one controller's action method to another controller action method. First example, action method, both action methods in the same controller. Now different controller. Now again you can add a view here and copy paste the same code what you have in the previous 2 views. No need a hyperlink again here. Just I'm trying to copy the same code. Where should I start now? Tell me. Come on. Where should I start now? Home controller, cookie test 1. This will launch cookie test 2. This will launch. Just a minute. My request starts from home controller cookie test 1. Again goes to home controller cookie test 2. From here, test controller cookie test 3. I hope you're clear. So come on, let's start from home controller cookie test 1. Cookie test 1. So all of you can observe. Passing the 3 values. Okay now? Hit enter. Launches cookie test 1 only. Launches cookie test 1 view. When I click on the page, cookie test 2. See there, you don't have any route values, but it read the cookies. It read the cookies. From here goes to got the values. Are you clear? Now let me copy this. Let me copy this one. And after copying this, if at all I try to open, I copied this one. And now I just wanted to close the browser. Once I close the browser, automatically all the cookies are lost. Once I close the browser, automatically all the cookies are destroyed. Once the browser is closed. So listen to point M. Cookies are two types. Cookies are two types. See, I'm just trying to run the cookie test 3 directly. Cookie test 3 directly. I'm getting an error. Why I'm getting an error? Cookies are stored in the browser, but once browser is closed, automatically all the data is lost. Once the browser is closed, all the cookies are lost. Cookies are two types here. What are the two types of cookies? In-memory cookies, persistent cookies. What is the first one? In-memory cookie. Second one? What's the in-memory cookie? In-memory cookie in the sense, these cookies are stored directly under the browser's memory. I repeat, these cookies are directly stored under browser's memory. They'll be directly stored for you under the browser's memory actually. Okay, now the second option is going to be persistent cookies. What are persistent cookies? Persistent cookies means they'll be stored on the hard disk. They'll be stored on the hard disk. The best example for persistent cookies is the stay signed in option only. When you select the stay signed in option, a cookie is created and stored for you on your browser hard disk. On your hard disk it is stored. That is why tomorrow, next time when you try to open Facebook or Google or something directly it logs in because the cookie is already stored. The cookie is already stored for you on your browser. These cookies will automatically gets activated. The cookies automatically gets activated and works. Are you clear? By default, every cookie is a in-memory cookie. By default, every cookie is a in-memory cookie. Then how to make it persisted, sir? If at all you want to make it persisted, you're required to set a property for it. Cookie dot expires is equals to how many days you want this cookie to be stored on the hard disk. Datetime dot now means today. Datetime dot now means today. Now means today. Current date. It refers to current date. Dot add days. I'm writing 30. It will write on the hard disk and the cookie stores on your things for 30 days. Sometimes see, even though you are just going to, means on your personal computers, even though you just try to stay signed in, after some days again it will ask you enter the password. After some days again for security reasons it will ask you to enter the password again. So because might be the expiration date are going to be completed, so it will recheck the things there. So cookies dot expires is equals to datetime dot now dot add days. If I say it is going to be a persisted cookie, all of you just can observe. Let me go to home controller, and the first time I'm writing the cookie, I'm writing cookie dot expires is equals to datetime dot now dot add days. You can tell the number of days you want. I want it for 3 days. I want it for 3 days. 3 days, these cookies will be stored on your computer now. Got it? So again, run the home controller. Index, not index here. Home controller. Cookie test 1. Cookie test 1. Got it? Click on this. You'll go to cookie test 2. Click on this. You go to cookie test 3. You go to the cookie test 3, right? So you can just navigate from one place to the other place. Fine. Now, you notice one thing, what did I say? I closed the browser and opened again. Have you noticed it? Check it out again. Closing the browser and opening the browser. Directly I'm launching you test controller cookie test 3. Test controller cookie test 3. Earlier we got an error, but now I'm not going to get any error. You can just watch. I'm launching test controller cookie test 3 and I got this because the cookie is stored on my computer. Are you clear? Okay, you can see the cookies on your machine basically. How do you see? Go to settings. Go to settings. In the left hand side, you'll be finding cookies and site permissions. Cookies and site permissions. Manage and delete cookies. See all cookies and site data. These are the cookies that are stored for you on your computers. All the cookies. Different websites, whatever I access, they're storing the cookies on my machine, and I have the cookies here stored here. Our cookie, where is our cookie? Should be stored with a local host or something. So many cookies are there. Where is that? How to search for our cookie? With what name it's saved? Just a second. I cleared all the cookies. Immediately got an error here. See, just a minute. I cleared off all the cookies on the browser. So you can just clear off these things. You can go to settings here. In the settings, in the left hand side, you'll be finding an option cookies and site permissions. It will open you this one. And here you'll find manage and delete cookies and site data. And here you'll be finding see all cookies and site data. And yeah, I cleared all, still created off. Remove all should remove all the cookies. Remove all should remove all the cookies to you. And freshly let's run. With what name it's saved, I'm confused there. Home. Cookie test 1. It's a persisted cookie, what we created. Setting. Maybe this is our cookie without any name. Yeah, this is your cookie. Product cookie. Created expiration. So show the values also. Yeah, showing the content also, say. Are you clear? They're stored in the client's browser. Yeah, someone asking, where can I see? Yeah, that's where you can see your cookies. That's where you can just see your cookies, guys. Okay, so this is the cookie where it is just going to store you the content, and you have this. So they are physically stored for you on the hard disk. If at all you want to clear, you can click on remove all, and these cookies can be deleted. All the cookies created will be deleted so that next time it won't work. See, generally you clear history, remember, on your browser. When you clear the history, cookies are also deleted. Yeah. Control Shift Delete for clear browsing data. Control Shift Delete is for clear browsing data. In here, you see, it will show you, see, the cookies and also will be deleted. When you clear the history on your browser, all these things are going to be deleted off. Understood? So are you clear about the cookies? Yes or not? So this is all about the cookies and how they are stored. Yes, it will read all your cookies. Yeah. Now, this is all about the cookies basically. So understood about cookies? But actually we have some problems with the cookies here. What are the problems? Problem number one with the cookie is, these cookies are stored on the client system. So security wise, they are not going to be good. It is a personal computer, fine. It is a personal computer, fine. It is a public computer. On a public computer, do you do the dare of selecting the option stay signed in? Tell me. Or tomorrow you're using a public computer. Sometimes today all the browser have this functionality. When you log in or when you enter the password, it is popping up a window asking you, shall I save this data? Yes or not? You clearly say no. A personal computer, fine. If you are using someone's computer and if you say yes now, tomorrow the other person can log in by using your credentials into your accounts. That is dangerous. Am I correct? So basically, that's not a right thing. So basically the data is stored on the client, so not secured. Second drawback with the cookies is, cookies can be deleted. Just now I shown you. Cookies can be deleted. You can delete the cookies. Third drawback with the cookies is, cookies can be disabled. Cookies can be disabled, means I can restrict cookie creation on my computer. I can restrict cookie creation on my computer. I can just do the restriction of cookie creation on my computer. Because cookie creation can be restricted on your computers, tomorrow if the browser doesn't support cookie, you will not have a chance of storing a cookie on the browser. How can I restrict, sir? You have that option also. Delete, just like delete all cookies, you also have an option to disable the cookies. Watch it. Go to cookies and site permissions one more time. Go to manage and delete cookies, and you guys see allow sites to save and read cookie data recommended. I am blocking now. I am just blocking, guys. I just opt it. Means I am blocking cookies now. I am blocking cookies. I'm not allowing the cookies. If this is on, cookies are allowed. If this is off, cookies are not allowed. So I can block the cookies on my system. If the cookies are blocked on your system, cookies will not be created. Point clear? Okay. So like this, we can just maintain the data in the form of the cookies actually. Okay. So fine. Cache is on server here. Cookie means that's a persistent. Cookies are persistent storage. Caching is different. Caching is something what we do in the server. We'll talk about caching later. Yeah. Understood about the cookies now? So basically why I explained all this particular thing is, listen, how does a session maintain the session ID? Or how a session ID is maintained for a user? How a session ID is maintained for the user? The session ID is maintained for the user in the form of a in-memory cookie on the browser. In the form of a in-memory cookie on the browser. It is going to be stored for you in the form of a in-memory cookie on the browser. That's why, do you remember day before yesterday, when I opened a new tab, the session values came in the new tab. But when I opened a new browser, the session values did not come there. You got an error. Why it happened? Because the cookies of one browser cannot be accessed by another browser. My memory, yeah, they're stored. It is stored in my memory. One application memory can be accessed by another application. Huh? So the memory of Google Chrome is not accessible to Edge. The memory of Edge is not accessible to Chrome. Edge to Edge accessible now. I very clearly explained you on the day. Try to open different make browser. Don't try to open the same company browsers. Except you or not. Why I said you the point is if you open the same company browser, they'll be start sharing the data. You require to go for opening a different company browser. Then only you will understand it perfectly. Is that clearer? So this is all about cookies and how the state management is done with the help of the cookies. But cookies are specific to a machine. Cookies are specific to a machine, not secured. Not going to be secured. Generally, to understand a cookie, I shown you this particular thing, but generally we store what? Login details. Login details, these type of thing, not like a product something as a login details and all will be storing in the cookie format on the client browsers. Am I clear? Fine. So this is about the cookies. I missed it. I'll add this particular notes and provide you. Okay. Next. What is the next thing? The next thing, guys. The next thing is I missed this also, but we added on the first day we added that also. What is that? Session and application. Remember in your notes also I made you to edit it. Not only session and application. What is application? Guys, applications are something like global data. In the sense, what is session? Single user global data. Accessible to that user only, not accessible to another user. But when we talk about application, multi-user global data. Multi-user global data means anything that is stored in the application memory is accessible to you for all the users. Means if I store something in the application memory, you can access it. If I store something in the application memory, you can access it. For example, the best thing is, suppose in YouTube, you see the video view count. Yes or not? See, suppose I'm the first person to access the video. So view count is 1. Now you are the second person. View count will be 2. I'm the third person. Again, I'm the person who will third person. View count will be 3. Means the data is exchanging between all the people. You understood that? The data is exchanging between all the people. Between all the people, this data exchanging will be happening for you. In case of the YouTube. Why? That is application data. That is application data. But my user ID password, can you access? No, that is a session. That is session. Session is single user global data. Application is multi-user global data. All the people connected to the server, will have one session for each. One session for each. All the people will be connected to the server will have one application for all, not for each. It is for all. Application memory is shared between all the people. That's application memory. Are you clear? So every user has one session. But every user is not having one application. All users are sharing the same application memory. For session, I shown you the picture already, remember? For every user, there is one session. But in the same way, the session is compulsory. But now every user will also have one application memory accessible to that user. This is application. I hope I am clear. Understood all of you? So this is about session and application. This is about the session as well as the application what you just have. Okay. So anything that is stored in the application, how do you copy and paste to show me here? You'll copy the memory and paste that in another machine. How will you copy and paste the data in the memory? I don't know, guys. You'll copy data from memory and paste in the memory. I'm not that capable. How do you do, show me? A hard disk is accessible to you, not a memory. So what are you trying to do? Just understand first what you're asking. Okay. So, yeah, what I'm talking is about the application. I'm talking about the application. Okay, I'm talking about the application now. So what is application? It's going to be multi-user global data. Actually, when the first request comes to the server, means you remember one day I explained about application start, and this application start method will execute only one time in the life cycle of an application. When is it? When the first request comes to the server, it executes. When the first request comes to the server, at that point of time, this application memory gets created. Are you clear? When the first request comes to the server, at that point of time, this application memory gets created actually. It's going to create the application memory when the first request comes to the server. Okay. And from that point of time, all the people can store the values in the application. All the people can store the values into that application actually. Are you clear? And this application will be lasting long. There is no end for the application memory. When will this application memory end, you know? Only when you shut down the application. Only when you shut down the application. So generally, what do they store in the application memory? Already I said you, like in the YouTube view counts, or in a general application, what you store is any values that are common for all the people will always be stored in the application memory. See, there are some values which are going to be common for all the people, which will be loaded from the database, So what do? They load it for the first time. In the application start method, we write the code, load the values from the database, and store them in application memory. Once you store them in application memory, the values will be like that only now. The values are not explicitly, you should go and make them null. Otherwise, those values will not be destroyed at any point of time. When these values in application memory will be destroyed, you know, only when you shut down the application. Only when you shut down the application, the data that is stored in the application memory will be lost. Until then, all the values that are stored in the application memory will be present for you like that only. Are you clearer or not? Okay. Understood my point? So that's what. So basically, the point you just require to understand is application memory gets created when the first request comes to the server. Application memory comes into picture when the first request comes to the server. And once after getting the first request, application memory will be allocated and we can start storing the values in the application memory. And these values will not be destroyed until you shut down the server. All the values in the application memory will be present like that only. Clear? Okay, how do you work with the application now? How do you work with application? Actually, this also I did not add you in the notes, guys. So that's why I'll show you the examples and I will provide the notes separately for this also. You can see. I will add a method called application test one, just like cookie test one, application test one. Now, how do you store the values in the application memory is system.web.http context dot current dot application. A lengthy statement, guys, of ID is equals to ID. Is how you should write the code. Actually, a little bit lengthy. System.web is a namespace. Under that, we have a class called HTTP context. Again, under that, a property called current, and there you should call application. Can't import the namespace? No, you can't import this namespace. Reason behind why you cannot import it is because what is your parent? Actually, already system.web is imported. You noticed it? Yes or not? So already system.web is imported. Suppose if I remove this, I'm getting an error at current. The reason why I'm getting an error at current is because in the parent class controller, there is a property called first preference always goes to local now. Yes or not? Local in the sense your parent class member is your local now. It is not referring to the class HTTP context. It is referring to a property. Which property? HTTP context. Where is it defined? Controller class. That is the problem here. Name duplication. When there is a naming collision, always you are required to do what? To fix the namespace name importing will not work. So compulsory you should write system.web. Then see, now HTTP context is a class. You know what is the difference? It's a class. So this is how you should write the code. So a little bit lengthy statement, but no option. We should use the application memory like this only. Next, name of, price of. And guys, observe, this application also will store the data in a object format only. So because it is object format, conversion not required. Because it is object format, conversion not required. You don't require the conversion to be done in this case now. Okay? So it is as same as saving the data in a session here. It is as same as saving the data in a session. How do you store in the session? See, all this is a lengthy statement. Otherwise, how did you write session of ID? Now, application of ID. But we need to prefix all these things. Now, application memory has a drawback. Application memory has a drawback. What is the memory drawback? Application memory is not thread safe. Application memory is not thread safe. You people who already learned about threading know about this one. Some people who did not do threading, you'll be learning threading in your regular classes, in the C# classes. Hold on. Meanwhile, what is it? Threading means more than one client trying to access this at a time. You are trying to access, I am trying to access. At a time, both of them can access this application memory. Then what will happen? Wrong results will come here. You're trying to manipulate, I am trying to manipulate. When both are trying to manipulate the same value, ultimately there will be an effect on the application now. That's what, it is not a thread safe. We'll give access to multiple people at a time. To overcome this particular problem, whenever you are dealing with application memory, you're required to first call the method called lock. You need to call a method called lock. And again, once after completing the work, you're required to call unlock. Simple here, you're using a public telephone. You're using a public telephone booth. Understand? You're using a public telephone booth. When you guys are trying to use a public telephone booth, guys, listen. When you people try to access the public telephone booth, what do? You go inside the telephone booth and lock. Once your phone call is completed, unlock and come out. Until then, other people cannot enter inside now. Should wait. It's also same. Lock. When one client is trying to access, what will happen? It will lock the memory and will not give access to other people until the one who locked has unlocked. So whenever you are going to store the values in the application memory, whenever you're trying to store the values in the application memory, make a habit of calling lock and unlock. Clear? Next, launch the view. You're launching the view now. Now you can go to the corresponding view, add view, and you can start accessing the data just like how you access the data from a view state or a view bag or a temp data or a session. Same process. How did you access from view state, view data, view bag and temp data? Now also the process is same. So let me copy this table I'll close the cookie test methods here. But the only problem is I need to write it as system dot web dot. What did I show you? Watch here, not application dot. System dot web dot HTTP context dot current dot application. Web dot HTTP context dot current dot application. Now tell me one thing. Right now for this view, do we have a parent? No, nah. So what I'm trying to tell you is no need to write system dot web dot here. Directly you can write @HTTP context dot current dot. Their problem is there. That's why I'm writing system dot web dot. I physically shown you a problem. Here we don't have a problem. So here I can directly say HTTP context dot current dot application. Here no need to write that much lengthy code. Okay. Again, copy the same. Paste here, name. Price. Okay now, price. I'm just trying to access it now. So you can observe now, come to home controller, call application test 1. Ashish, what are you doing when I explained you? What are you doing when I explained you? You can see you just launched. Are you clear? If you want to test it same like the previous one, what is it? In the application 1, let me add a hyperlink to launch. I'm launching home controller, application test 2. Home controller, application test 2. Come to home controller, add a method, public, view result, application test 2. Okay. If you want, you can also go for redirect to route and also redirect. Anything works. Are you clear? There is a global memory. Anything works. Directly return view. Directly return view. Right click on application test. Add view. Copy this code. Yeah. Same again. Now I'm launching test controller, application test 3. Test controller, application test 3. Are you clear? Okay. So now what should I do? Come here. Public, view result, application test 3. I'm showing this as same as the previous code, guys. Now, where will I start from? Home controller, application test 1. There we have a hyperlink which will launch home controller, application test 2. And from there, it will launch test controller application test 3. Test controller application test 3. So I'm just going to put the hyperlinks and navigate them. That's it. So this is also global, and this is multi-user global data. Yeah, accessible to everyone. Run this. What is the method? Application test 1. Application test 1 has to launch now. When I click on this, we'll launch you application test 2. We'll launch you application test 2 now. We'll launch you application test 3. I think we did not add a view for application test 3. We added the method, but we forgot to add the view. Yeah, guys. Application test 3. Add view. We forgot to add it. Launching application test 1. From there, application test 2. From there. Guys, if I close my browser and open a new browser and directly try to access the test control application test 3, will I get the data? I shown this in case of persisted cookies. Will I get the data or not? I should get the data. Correct? Because it is shared between all the people. Error here. I did not get it. I did not get this particular information. Just a second. Just a minute. Yeah. I'm trying to call test controller application test 3. I did not get the data. Means, don't we have the values in application memory? Actually, you're using IS Express. Remember the behavior of the IS Express. I already explained to you. When you run the IS Express, server starts, application starts. Okay? When you close the browser, server stops. Are you getting my point or not? When you close the browser, what will happen? Server stops. Server stops means application stops now. So all the application memory got destroyed. Did you understand? Sir, can't you get it now? You can get it. Okay, I'll tell you, test it like this. Host your application on IIS and test. Did you understand me? What you'll do? How to host an application on IIS already shown you. Host it on the IIS and test. IIS will not start and stop every time. When is IIS started? When the OS starts, IIS will start. When the OS starts, IIS will start. Okay, now IIS will stop again only when the OS stops. Until then, IIS will be running like that only. So your application memory will be persistent. After you open the browser and directly try to call also, you can access the data. Are you clear? Not only from the same browser, you can try to open a different browser and also try. I'm leaving it to you. You try. Are you clear? I'm not spoon feeding everything. I'm just giving that task to you. Do that. So you can host it on the IIS now and test it. Works or not. Not same browser, another browser. Directly go to test controller, application test 3 only. Don't go to application test 1. If you go to application test 1, values are stored again there. No, don't do. What do you do? Directly test controller, application test 3. Straight away call. It has to open. Okay? And after doing that one more test, restart your server. How can I restart my server, sir? You can restart your IIS, you can restart your application like this. Watch. You have an option to restart. Your application will be created here now. So, see, This is the default website. Okay. I already shown you how to host this project on the IIS, remember? Select it. And when you select this one, yeah. If at all you just wanted to restart your server, restart here, select default website here, select default website here. Are you clear? You have a restart option. You can click on this and restart your site. You can click on this and restart your site. Okay now? Another way you can restart is, this is the simplest option. But still if you want to try, you can do it like this also. What is that? Go to Task Manager. You know Task Manager now? Go to Task Manager. And do you remember this already? I said you, like these all applications are going to be exe files. If it is an IS Express, the name of the exe file is isexpress.exe. And for IS, I said you w3wp.exe. I already explained you that particular thing in the notes. Read it somewhere you have w3wp.exe. So that will be the name. If you go to the details section, I've shown you also. Here you will be finding IS executing. Okay, we clicked on restart. Oh, we did not run it on IES because we did not run it on IES. I'm not getting it. But otherwise, you'll be getting w3wp.exe. w3wp.exe. Is IES Express running? Yeah, Express is running. If IIS Express is running, what is the exe name? IIS Express.exe. What is the name? IIS Express.exe. If you're running an IIS, what is the exe name? You know, w3wp.exe. You can right click on it and you can just do end task. When you say end task, your server is shut down and restarted. But lengthy process. Don't do directly go there. IIS and click on restart, your server gets restarted. Once you do this, you must close the application memory. Are you clear? Once you do this, you will be losing the application memory. All the application data will be lost. No, you did not do that. If you did not do, your application memory will be lasting. No need to shut down. You close your Visual Studio. You close all your browsers. Open a fresh browser and directly navigate to test controller application test 3. You will be getting the data. After 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day, until you restart your server or until you restart your machine, that application data will be present in the application memory like that only. It won't be deleted. Is it clear about the application memory? Not the same browser, try it with different browser, anything you try, not at all a problem, but still that values will be accessible to you. But once you close a browser, session data won't be accessible to you, remember. Test that also. Host on IIS, test that also. Once you close the browser, session data won't be accessible. But once you close the browser also, application data will be accessible. Got the point? So that is the difference between session and application. Understand? Simple point. What is it? Session, single user, global data. Application, multi-user, global data. It's going to be multi-user, global data. That is what exactly the application is all about. Am I clear? So I once again say, I already said you why I need to write system.web here. Why I need to write? Because HTTP context is a class, but unfortunately there is a member with the name HTTP context under my parent. What is the parent? So first preference always goes to local. Local. So means it is going to refer to the HTTP context that is available under the controller. But I want to refer to the HTTP context that is defined in system.web. So I need to prefix the name here. But when you come to view, here we don't have any parent. So directly I can call @HTTP context.current.application. That is the difference. When you are writing on the action method, we need to write it like this. But when you are writing on the view, no need. Straight away you can write HTTP context.current.application of. Is it clear? Okay. Guys, these two things, I will add the notes to you. I'll provide the notes for you for both these two things. I did not add these things. Okay, so fine. The next option is anonymous types. The next option is anonymous types. What are these anonymous types? Hold on a second. Oh, I came up to UI designing. Just a minute. Yeah, I remember this is where we started up our discussion. View data, view backs and all. Yeah, data transferring. For data transferring, what are the various options that are available? For data transferring, what are the various options that are available? So that's where exactly I just been started up. Okay. So in this process, I was just explaining you have a variety of options that are available. What is it? View data, view back, temp data, session and application. I messed up the thing cookies here. Cookies, session, application. So I added you both these two options also now. I'll just provide the notes. Okay, and then we have anonymous types. And then we are going to have anonymous types. So now the next thing is anonymous types, and the last one is strongly typed model objects. The strongly typed model objects is the next concept what we have. Okay, so let me explain you about anonymous types now. What are these anonymous types? Remember here, we learned about these anonymous types in C# classes. We learned about the anonymous types in C# classes actually. When I was explaining about C#, at that time, I taught you about the concept of anonymous types. So what are these anonymous types? See, generally, you want to create the instance of some class. You want to create the instance of a class that has some attributes. Basically, remember in the C# mainly I was talking about this here. What's it? I was just been talking always about a concept like entities. C# mostly I talk about entity. Entity is something which represents some object. Anything object we represent and we call it as a entity. Entities. We learned about the entities in the C# classes number of times. We discussed about that. Now when you guys talk about the concept of entities, when you're just talking about entities, every entity has attributes now. I want to define a class that represents an employee. I want to define a class that represents an employee. So what do? You will define a class with all the required properties. You will define a class with all the required properties first, correct? Yeah, this is how you define a class. Afterwards, you'll be creating the instance of the class. Afterwards, you'll be creating the instance of the class. How? Employee EMP is equals to new employee. The class doesn't have a parameterized constructor in it. And once the class doesn't have a parameterized constructor in it, we can still initialize the attributes of a class by using a concept called object initializers. Remember? Open the curly brace. Directly you can say ID is equals to, and you can start passing the values now. Name is equals to, job is equals to, salary is equals to and status is equals to. Yeah, we can create an instance like this. So what are you doing? You're just trying to create the instance of a class and initialize all the attributes of that particular class. And what is this curly braces? We call it as object initializer. When do we use it? When the class doesn't have a parameterized constructor to initialize the attributes of a class. We can use the curly braces and directly initialize all the attributes in the curly braces. We call it as object initializers. This is a concept what we already learned in the C#. So now to create this instance, what did you do first? You defined a class. Are you clear? So for every entity, I need to define a class now. For every entity, I need to define a class. So right now, we want to represent three attributes, ID, name, and price. If that is the case, first you're required to define a class called product class. We need to define a class called product with three attributes. What are the three attributes? ID, name, price. But guys, I don't want this object for, I don't want this particular object for multiple. I want it only to use one time here. Means the use of this only for one time. But still, you're writing a class now, which is a lengthy process, which is going to be a lengthy time-taking process, a lengthy and a time-taking process. To avoid this problem, I explained to you in C# 3.0, we are provided with a concept called anonymous type. What is anonymous type? You can create the instance of a class. We can create the instance of a class without defining a class. Without defining a class. How? Where emp is equals to new of, open the curly braces, and you can go for writing up like this. What is the class name? I don't know. I did not define. That's why I did not use the class name anywhere. What did I use here? Where? And here also see new of, no class name. We did not use any class name here. So what is EMP? EMP is an object of the class. What is the class, sir? You don't know the class. And that is implicitly defined. That is, remember, I opened to ILDSM, opened, export the assembly and also showed you. If you forgot, go and refer to anonymous text class and also use ILDASM and explore that, and you can just find out the class getting defined for you in the assembly. It will be F underscore anonymous type of 0. That will be the name of the class what play. The class is implicitly defined for us. I don't require to define. Actually, the class is not important for me. What is important? This object is important. What is important? This object is important. So here also, I'm just going to create this object. This is not permanent here, a temporary. It's just going to be a temporary. For example, in your code, guys, in your code, for example, just for example, just like this index 8, just like this index 8, you store the values in a session, right? Watch. Index 9. Index 9. You're passing 3 values in the session and redirecting to a different location. Redirecting to a different location. Okay. For the time being, we'll do one thing. We'll redirect to the same UI. You can redirect. But see, in the previous examples, you either stored the data in a temp data or view data or view bag or session or application somewhere. But now you see, I can just do it like this. Where product is equals to new of, open the curly braces, and I can say ID is equals to ID, name is equals to name, price is equals to price. And all of you guys understand these are 3 properties of the class now. Okay, ID is which type? Integer type. Name is which type? String type. Price is which type? Double type. You did not tell that, no need to tell. Why? Because I used a where keyword. Whenever you use the where keyword, the type recognition is done based on the value. ID is which type? Here, integer type. So this is also integer only now. Are you clearer? Now you're going to the view. Now when you're going to the view, all of you carefully observe. I already said you overloaded method, right? Return view, return I view something. We have an option of passing an object model, you understand? Okay, next. View name, I shown you this also. View and model. View, model, view, master name, view, master name, model. Master in the sense controller, guys. Controller name. The master refers to controller. Means I can just simply pass product here. Are you clearer or not? I can simply pass a product for this like this. Okay? Well, how to access in the view, I'll show you. Just a minute. Suppose you are going to perform a redirect to route. You're going for a redirect to route. Redirect to route result. Okay, I'll call this as index 10. Index 10. So in this case, what are you doing? You're redirecting to another action method, correct? Yes or not? I can now say return redirect to action, and first I should specify the action method name, right? Help me. Index 11, comma, product. I can pass the product here. I can pass the product here. How to access in the views, I'll tell you. Hold on. We'll just talk about that. And lastly, this also understand. I'm calling it as 9, 10. 10 transferring to 11. 10 transferring to 11. Okay. Otherwise, I just wanted to transfer to another controller. Another controller, then. Array, the extra parameter you're passing here now. What is the extra parameter? Model. Model object. Object is the extra parameter. You already learned passing only controller name, sorry, action method name, or you learned already passing action method name and controller name. What is the new? Model also. You're passing the object here and that object will come. We need to learn how to access the values in the model or the view. I'm sorry. How to access the values in the view. I'll show you guys. I'll demonstrate you how these values can be accessed in the view in the next session. Okay. But best, I'll just, again, I'll add all the methods and show you in detail for you in the next session again. But this is another way how you can just use, called as anonymous types. Okay, I'm deleting here. We'll add freshly and we'll just design all the things and see tomorrow. Let's stop here. We'll meet tomorrow. Yes.